So I just finished watching the first 7 episodes of Selena, the series on Netflix, but guys, is it better than part 1? Let's talk about it. What's going on, you guys? James here with another real review, and today we're diving right into Selena the series part 2, the first 7 episodes like I just mentioned. Netflix provided it for me early for review, so thank you so much to the team over at Netflix. Now, there are 9 episodes in total, so the final 2 from what we left off on, we're definitely going to lead into Selena's tragic and unfortunate death. So if you don't know what to expect, let's get into the story just a little bit. Selena Quintanilla's journey through the Tejano music world continues as she grows into her role as a superstar. But learning how to handle her newfound success doesn't come as easy as Selena struggles to balance family, love, and a demanding career. It is just so crazy to think that we got part 1 back in December of 2020, and here we are, it's May, and we're talking about part 2. But guys, before I get into what I liked and what I didn't like about this season, if it is your first time here at the channel, welcome to Real James, where I talk about TV and movies like this all the time. So if you don't want to miss out, go ahead and hit the big red button below, subscribe to the channel, and tap on that bell so you'll be the first one in the comments. Smash that thumbs up button if you're a fan of Selena's music and of Selena herself, and get loud down below and let me know, guys, did you like part 2? And if you didn't, let me know why, but if you did, let me know, because I have some thoughts here, guys, already. So let's start with the positives, alright? I want to be optimistic here. And the first thing that sticks out to me is, again, Christian Serratos really delivers as Selena. I know it's an unpopular opinion, and even though she doesn't really look the part, she really captures Selena's mannerisms, her charm, and her bubbly personality. Whether it be her performing on stage or just having simple conversations with her family or her husband, it is actually pretty genuine. You can tell she just understands the assignment and she's 110% bought into the role. She's the only actor, I could say, out of everyone else that actually delivers on what is promised in this performance. So I liked Christian Serratos just fine here, and I think she does a really good job. And of course, Selena was known for having some amazing costumes and outfits, and here in part 2, they were actually better than the first season. You know, I really enjoyed seeing her sketch out outfits in season 1, but here in part 2, it's fully realized her vision and her dream for having her own clothing line, opening up the boutique. It really made me smile, I'll be honest with you. It was a nice moment when you can see Christian Serratos just light up and just understand that yes, she's one step closer to having her own life outside of music. And you can just tell that these outfits and the designs gave the concerts and performances a more authentic feel. At least they used this part of the production budget properly. And the next thing that makes season 2 much more bearable really is Christian Serratos and Noemi Gonzalez, who plays Selena's sister Suzette, having the best chemistry in this season. I really enjoyed all of their conversations. To be honest, they play off of one another very well, whether it be more humorous moments or some serious dramatic conversations. They both get it. I really believe that the script favors both of them, and they really just shine in so many different moments. And then there were some really cool Easter egg moments where fans of Selena's life and her career will understand these scenes, like Beyonce Knowles running into Selena. That was so neat. It was very brief, but it was a cute moment. The only thing I will say about this though, guys, is that they overused these types of moments, especially when they bring in different actors to play singers and stars. Like, we did not need an entire scene with AB and Diane Warren. So we have a good performance from Christian Serratos, some nice genuine moments, the costumes, the designs look nice, but I will be honest with you guys, and it pains me to say this because I was holding out hope for part 2 being better than part 1. Unfortunately, this season does not really learn from the mistakes of last year. And the negatives really just start with the writing, direction, and acting. And it pains me to say this because I think some of the actors here have the chops. It's just the script, right? The way that they're reading lines off of the paper and the dialogue, it's all just unbelievable. I could not buy into any of the interactions between Abraham and Marcela Quintanilla, and even AB and Selena had conversations that felt weightless. Speaking of AB, they just totally threw his character off to the side, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. And there's a certain build up to big moments, or what should be big moments for Selena in her career, but nothing in the script really gives it any importance. They recognize that, oh, okay, she's gonna write the lyrics for Bitty Bitty Bum Bum, but why is it that it feels like they gloss over it? They just went so quickly through it. The pacing to this season is all wrong through 7 episodes, and I can't tell you that the final 2 will probably rectify that mistake. And when it comes to the issues I had with season 1 feeling artificial, well, it carries over to season 2. There was nothing that grounded this show, and it really did feel more like a soap opera than anything else, when it should have felt like a more serious, dramatic series in moments. So it didn't have any layers. There's actually one scene where I thought, okay, this is what the show needs. It was a conversation between Selena and her father right after Selena and Chris elope and they get married at the courthouse, and I won't lie to you, that was exactly the dramatic angle I was hoping this show would take from the onset. And I thought, you know what? It's turning a corner, right? Season 2 is going to get better from this point on. But nope, they go through that scene very quickly, I would say, and from that point on, well, everything else feels lifeless. And for as authentic as the costumes and the outfits were, well, the accents our leads use were anything but. For some reason, these southern accents come in and out, and I understand that they really are trying to replicate the accents, I guess, of that community, and there's nothing wrong with that, but at least carry that throughout every bit of conversation. They just never felt real. And when it comes to the period of time they're trying to replicate, the 90s, well, I never really felt like this was the 90s at all, and that's probably an issue. Okay, so now let's dive into the characters, guys. The characters that were built up in part 1 felt like side pieces for this second season, and it was less layered as a whole. I just talked about AB and how they threw him off to the side, and unfortunately, he's nowhere to be found for the first 5 episodes, and finally in episodes 6 and 7, he comes out of nowhere and is involved in Selena's song-making process, and you start to see him have conversations with his sister, but guys, it's almost too little too late. And I found it really odd that they introduced what should be important character moments like Suzette and Bill's relationship, and when it comes to members of the band, but forget about it, guys. The script treats them like we never even knew who they were in the first place, and honestly, if this was the case, why give us their point of view in the first season only to just throw them off to the side in part 2? And they really did a lot of tell, don't show when it comes to relationships, and I could not buy even the ones that they were trying to show us, like Selena and Chris's relationship. Guys, I get it, they're supposed to be a newlywed couple, but man, I'm sorry, the acting there just doesn't work. Christian Serratos is on a different level than her co-star, but when it comes to Jesse Posey, who's playing Chris Perez, it feels like he's stuck in a different show. And it sucks that I have to say that, guys, because I really wanted them both to work out on screen together, but none of them felt committed to anything, honestly, and all the lines they exchanged felt less than dynamic. And when it even comes down to that family dynamic itself, I mean, what dynamic? It's also surface level, and it's a shame because for a show like this, with the weight that Selena carries as an icon for so many, you would think that they would treat it with more care, but instead, none of that care is found in this season. And guys, we talked about it with my season 1 review, but boy, the production design was bad here as well. It felt cheap, the wigs did not work for me, and most of the time, it almost looked like they were on a soundstage with the green screen in the background, and if they were, they should have made it less noticeable. I mean, even when Selena and Chris are in the car together, there's a green screen in the background, and it looks awful. They could be in any vehicle, honestly, in this season, and you could just tell it is so fake. I mean, you would just think with all the attention that was given to season 1 that maybe this season would be a bit more genuine, but it unfortunately wasn't. And of course, the focal point for this season was always going to be Selena's rise to stardom, and then Yolanda Saldivar, played by Natasha Perez, who comes in and unfortunately is responsible for the death of Selena. And I didn't see that murder scene. I don't know how much they'll show in this series, but I'm sure in episodes 8 and 9 they're going to build to that, and in episode 9 we'll see that on screen. It's probably going to be tough to stomach for so many fans, and I mean, hey, even though this show isn't very genuine, it doesn't really feel grounded, I think it would still be tough to witness anyway. But man, when it comes to the way they introduce Yolanda, for example, it feels like they're actually undermining how serious this is to the series. And whenever she's on screen with Selena, there's this score that they use that just feels so generic. Honestly, a lot of her moments feel very fabricated, and I was hoping that maybe they would take a more serious approach to it, and I guess they tried, but guys, it didn't feel that way at all. And since I wasn't given episodes 8 and 9 at the time of recording, I could almost tell that they were going to give more of a focus to Yolanda and the Quintanilla families falling out. But if these 7 episodes were any indication of how they might handle that sensitive moment, well, it's not looking good. So overall, you guys, for as much as I wanted Selena the series part 2 to be better than part 1, unfortunately, this second season is worse in every way. From the way they threw characters to the side, to the script, the pacing, the direction, and even the acting, none of this came together to feel genuine. There's just so much left to be desired with this series, and it has a lot of potential, but I don't even think the final 2 episodes could save this season. And for as much weight as Selena brings both as a human and as a musician, I wish that they treated this show with much more respect and her story with much more, I guess, of a layered approach, because unfortunately what we're getting here really is shallow, and honestly it's a soap opera that doesn't really feel like a good soap opera. So if you had to ask me, you guys, yeah, Selena the Series Part 2 just doesn't nail it and doesn't do it for me. And even though the concerts, they sounded cool and the music is again very infectious and Christian Serratos does give a good performance, there's just not enough here for me to say I recommend you watch it this week. But of course, if you did watch season 1, you're gonna watch part 2 anyway, so guys, I need to know what you think down below in the comments. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? And if you haven't already and you do love reviews just like this, go ahead and hit the big red button below and subscribe to the channel. I promise, and I'm crossing my fingers, I hope we got some more positive reviews this week. I got a lot of stuff coming out, guys, and when I say a lot, I mean a lot. So again, guys, go ahead and tap on that bell so you'll be the first one to know whenever I drop a new video this week and for the rest of the year. Alrighty, y'all. Well, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and listen to Selena's music because, yeah, that would be a good palate cleanser. Guys, again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you at the next screening.